John, thank you for your very, very gracious comments. And colleagues, it is wonderful to be together for us to celebrate today. Today is a great day for America. It is a great day for equality, for freedom, and with liberty and justice for all. The court decision further fulfills the great promise of our democracy, of our Constitution, and of our Declaration of Independence, that all men and women are, in fact, created equal, and as such must be treated equally under the law. That was the premise by which DOMA was overturned. And if you haven't seen Edie Windsor's face yet today, you should. She is one beautiful woman and a courageous one at that. And this decision on DOMA strikes home very quickly for many people. The 1,000+ benefits that comes with a marriage license from the federal government now will be so for same-sex couples who get married. Though, of course, it doesn't overturn the other part of DOMA, because legally married couples can go to states, 38 of them minimally, which have constitutional amendments prohibiting marriage, and will not recognize that those folks are married. They will be legal strangers in those 38 states. This is no way to do business as a country, and that's why we have full faith and credit from state to state. But we have to get rid of that second half of DOMA, and we know that there's a bill moving through the U.S. Senate at this time. We hope it will be successful. So many memories come to mind. I saw Drew from Assembly Judiciary, who wrote the first analysis for our first bill back in 2004. And it's really hard for us to imagine, especially those, I feel like the old guy today, the oldest one in the caucus in terms of legislative experience in this Capitol, that it was a really debatable issue. But I can tell you that when we introduced that first bill on Thursday, February 12th, 2004, which was the day that the mayor of San Francisco began to issue marriage licenses, and of course changed the whole perspective of this and put the face, the human face, on the issue of marriage equality, which was now on television around the world, that there was even uncertainty within our own LGBT legislative caucus. Welcome, Senator. We're just getting going. Good to have you with us. There was even uncertainty. We had just passed the expansion of our domestic partnership rights and benefits and privileges. The ink was not quite dry. That was October 2003. And so we didn't know that we had the votes. It was a presidential year. Was it the right time to be moving forward for this radical notion of equal marriage rights? And I'm not exaggerating too much. I also remember the vetoes, of course, in 2005, 2007. And not to be too harsh, but I was asked earlier today by a reporter, what if Arnold Schwarzenegger had signed that bill? How would history have changed? And I think it would have changed significantly, because we would have gone to the ballot because our opponents unlike the California Supreme Court decision of June 2008, our opponents would have gathered signatures for probably a 2006 ballot measure to overturn that which the legislature and the governor had put into law, equal marriage rights. But we would have gone to the ballot with a Republican governor defending his signature. And remember how valiantly Arnold Schwarzenegger fought for sustaining AB 32, which also faced a lot of opposition from his own party, but he fought to sustain his own signature. We could have had a very different outcome in 2006 than we had in 2008. It could have sped up the shift in public opinion. Not to be too harsh, but I think that history could potentially remember Arnold Schwarzenegger as the George Wallace of California social history. I be circumspect in my comments, but I also am remembering what initiated our work with Equality California going back to 2004. It was the decision of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court in November of 2003, which ruled, not unlike the Vermont and Hawaiian Supreme Courts before it, that there was no constitutional basis for denying marriage licenses to same-sex couples. The Massachusetts court went on to say that our history teaches us that separate is seldom, if ever, equal. But then they went on to say a third thing, which has stayed with me and will forever. They said that the only remedy to this identified discrimination was marriage and marriage alone. That no, as they put it, parallel constructs such as civil unions or domestic partnerships would do, they said, because, again, in the court's words, it would perpetuate a destructive stereotype that suggests there's something inferior and unstable about the way same-sex couples love. Think about that for a second. If, as public policy and lawmakers, we're going to differentiate between the way people love, step back from the situation just for a second. What's the one thing all of us walking this planet have in common, irrespective of our race, creed, color, religion, nation of origin, sexual orientation, gender identity? The thing that makes us human beings, our common humanity, is our ability to love and our desire to love another human being in an intimate and committed fashion. That's what makes us human beings. And the idea that we would say, you Americans love good enough, we'll give you a marriage license, but you other group, well, you might love, but not quite good enough, and you're going to get a domestic partnership. It's nonsense. And the Supreme Court today finally said, indeed, it is nonsense. And this is a great day. Everyone is celebrating. I'm told that folks in San Francisco are literally cheering out of their windows. It's a great time. Welcome, Assemblyman, who has also been in the trenches for many decades, to state the same thing that Harvey Milk has been saying forever, that we need to come out, we need to show the world who we are, because there's not a family member, there's not a family, there's not a profession, there's not a walk of life that does not have lesbian and gay, bisexual and transgender people in it. And now that America knows that, our first-class citizenship is just within reach. And I'll conclude by saying that with 38 states still denying equal marriage rights, with not a single federal protection in housing, employment, public accommodation, there's a lot of work yet to do. In terms of celebration, last memory of 2004, we were celebrating Valentine's Day on the west steps of the Capitol. Margaret Cho was here, you know, the great comedian, who was saying, you know, and we were in deep depression at the time. Our fiscal crisis was looming, had a huge $20 billion deficit. She said, ice sculptures alone could balance California's budget. Let same-sex couples marry. We'll have caterers and florists and all the celebrations go. Ice sculptures alone can balance California. Thank you all for being here and for joining in our celebration.